I'm so lucky to be a hunter, to have grown up in the great outdoors, living the sporting life. I remember way back when I would talk my dad into taking me along on Saturday mornings. We'd slip along in the gloom, me clinging to his knee and toting my first gun. The glow of a full moon, the sun shimmering through the trees, the raucous call of a barred owl, finding fresh buck sign. The outdoors was a shiny new puzzle I couldn't wait to fit together. Once in a while, Dad would shoot a grouse or a squirrel, and a few times we even got a deer. I'd walk up to the animal, stroke its coat, and feel its warmth, experience at a tender age life and death. I'd look up at Dad and he'd smile back. I could see in his eyes that everything was right and good. He'd give me a bear hug I can still feel today. I grew up fast, and like you, became obsessed with our wonderful sport. There is so much to see, feel, and enjoy. The beauty and wildness of game country, the sleepless nights before opening days, the chill that makes you shiver uncontrollably after sunrise, the crunching of leaves, the way your heart jumps when you spot that big buck or bull ghosting through the trees, the agony of a blown chance with gun or bow, the elation of a perfect shot, the electric gobble of a wild turkey, the whir of a covey ride or a coyote howling, the soul-searching you do when sitting alone for hours in a tree stand, the laughs and good times of days in the field with special friends, sharing the woods with your son or daughter, doing your part to pass along our great hunting heritage. Can't you feel it? Don't you love it? Aren't you prouder than ever to be an American hunter?
Hi, I'm Michael Hanback, and welcome to the NRA American Hunter Video Collection. In this edition, we're going to bring you some fascinating hunts from across the country. And also, we're going to stick with the whole theme of this collection. And that's to introduce you to snapshot looks at a lot of programs designed for hunters and conservationists by the National Rifle Association. You know, the NRA does a lot for hunters that you may not be aware of. Things through the Hunter Services Division. We have lots of different programs about conservation. The Great American Whitetail Collection, the NRA Great American Hunters Tour. Of course, we have the fascinating National Firearms Museum and the all-important Youth Hunter Education Challenge that's brought to you by the NRA's Hunter Services Division. In addition to all that, we're going to bring you some very important safety and firearms tips. All that and more coming right up on this hunting entertainment blockbuster brought to you by your National Rifle Association in conjunction with Drury Outdoors, the nation's top outdoor video producer.
Push here. We've got about 50 or 60 acre block of timbers, a lot of oak trees in it. And we're really not having much luck. It's been so dry and so warm, the movement is really suppressed. So we're going to try a little push and see if we can get something moving. We will begin to make you a better hunter by sharing some valuable information right off the bat. Hello, I'm Terry Drury with Drury Outdoors. Our goal throughout this entire video collection is twofold. First, to increase awareness about the NRA and its involvement in numerous key programs. And second, to make you a better hunter. Enjoy. Yes! Yes! Oh, baby. Got it. Ho, ho, ho.
Nice. Nice. I can't believe that worked. Oh. We had a soft push in a block of timber, about 50 or 60 acres. It's early muzzleloader season here in Kansas. It's unbelievable what we went through. The temperature's 94, 95 degrees. And nothing was working. It was the moon phase is off a little bit. The feeding pattern's been really rough. So we decided to make a push, and this little block of timber is a lot of oak trees, a lot of acorns in there, and it worked. Rarely do pushes like that work, but this one did.
Most members are familiar with organized deer drives. Here, the extreme technique is to only use a couple of individuals slowly creeping through the timber in hopes for just a slight bump or nudge. An acute camera angle makes it appear that if a complete pass-through were imminent, the possibility may occur of contact being made with the trailing whitetail. But from the hunter's position, within the direct line of fire, there was a 2 to 3 foot clear window of separation.
Oh, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw those deer heading straight for me. You know, and you're fortunate enough to put a good shot on an animal like that, see the deer go down right before your eyes. It's a feeling you can't describe. Well, why did that work? That's what this is all about, trying to explain why we did that and why it worked. Number one, we were hunting a moon phase and a feeding pattern in early September. It was the muzzleloader season there in Kansas. And what I mean when I say that is if the moon is rising, when the deer would normally be on their evening feeding pattern, it's awesome. You know, you see a lot of deer on their feet because the moon phase is coinciding with a normal feeding pattern. Well, at this particular time, that moon phase was not coinciding with their normal feeding pattern. Therefore, the movement was very suppressed and very subdued. So we became more aggressive, and that's how we become successful a lot of times, is by changing our style. And in this particular instance, we got more aggressive because the temperature was 94, 95 degrees, and there just was very little movement. So what we do, we elected to make a soft push. And what do I mean when I'm talking about a soft push? It's a small block of timber. This one was 50 or 60 acres of hardwoods. And we had a couple of guys that were almost stalking those deer to just get them up on their feet and moving. And in this particular instance, it worked like a charm.
Did you know that over 50,000 NRA certified instructors train nearly 750,000 gun owners a year in firearm safety? It's mid-October, where the hot, dry desert conditions of West Texas test your skills and senses. Attempting to moisten your parched lips becomes increasingly difficult. To hunt 180,000 acres laced with wild, free-ranging whitetails is every hunter's dream. How can any of this possibly make you a better hunter? First, because the patience to pass a deer can be applied anywhere. Second, adapting to extreme conditions aids in your overall resilience. And third, top-notch outfitters work for your hard-earned dollars. A seep meandering slowly on top of the ground gives renewed life to a number of species, where survival first demands infringing territorially. Regardless of the location, always be flexible enough to use some common sense in your particular hunting area. Oftentimes, the obvious can be right under your nose. Each year, more and more NRA members are venturing out for that trip of their dreams. Do your homework. First, make networking your priority. Check out your outfitter of choice before you make a decision. Get plenty of references.
Here he comes. Good luck.
Don't ever overlook the obvious. We'll call it getting back to basics. Just use good common sense when planning your strategy, especially when hunting extreme conditions.
All right, man, let's go take a look at him.
What an exciting hunt. This is exactly why you passed up those 8 points. We saw a lot of bucks tonight, little young. This is exactly what we're looking for. This is why you hunt Texas. What a beautiful buck, a buck of a lifetime. I mean, my best buck ever.
150-inch 10-point running straight at the camera. Now there's a scene you usually only see during the rut. Good for Richard, he made a perfect shot on that nice West Texas buck. Well, why was that buck coming running into that individual setup right there? Well, the key ingredient was water. So often, we always key in on bed and food. Hunt bedding areas in the morning, hunt food patterns in the afternoon. Well, what about water? That's another key ingredient to a whitetail's overall survival. It worked there. It was West Texas. It was a dry, arid region, and most of the deer were coming to water. Well, what about your neck of the woods, whether you live in the Northeast, Pennsylvania, New York, the Midwest, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas? Water can be good, particularly in dry times of the year. Early October, or if we're into a drought. Last year, Terry and I saw more deer in and around little water holes than anywhere else. Don't overlook water holes for a good magnet to try and take a good buck.
Just as we promised, let's watch as Scott Mayer, shooting editor for American Rifleman magazine, shows us how to effectively mount a scope on a firearm.
Today we're going to learn how to mount a scope, one of the common things that hunters face with. First, you want to make sure you have the right bases, rings, and scope for your intended purposes. Then you want to check and make sure the rifle's unloaded and there's no ammunition in the area. Check to see if there's any burrs around the mounting holes. If there are, use a stone to knock them off with. Then position your bases according to the instructions that came with them. And look for any gaps. That could be an indication that they're not going to seat flush. If they look good, go ahead and degrease the action. The screw holes and the bases. Wipe them clean. Just snug them down for now. Don't make them too tight. Once you have them just snug down, check again for any gaps. If it looks good, tighten them down the rest of the way. I like to use a hammer to tap on the screwdriver just to make sure that the screws seat. If you use a rotary dovetail ring like this, just give a little bit of lubricant onto the dovetail and use a wooden tool like this hammer handle to put it in place. You never want to use the scope to turn it into place because you can damage the scope. Alright, you want to make sure those scope rings are square. I got a little bit of gap on that one. So we're going to twist it so it's a little more in line. Looking for light underneath the scope. Okay, now the scope's flush with no light. You want to make sure the objective bell doesn't touch the barrel or the sights. If you have iron sights on there, and then put the ring tops back on. Now we need to set the eye relief. The eye relief is the distance from your eye to the ocular bell, and if you're too close or too far, you won't have a clear, full field of view. What I like to do is close my eyes and mount the rifle like I would if I was shooting. Open my eyes, and then adjust the scope until I have a full, clear field of view. I also take that opportunity to make sure my crosshairs are straight up and down. I'll try it again. When everything looks right, it's time to tighten the screws the rest of the way. Make sure you tighten them so that there's an even gap on both sides of the ring where the two halves, the top and bottom halves come together. Again, use your hammer. When you're tightening those screws, it helps seat the threads and make sure they're tight. And there you have a well-mounted scope.
For our next bit of information, did you know that every 13 seconds in America, someone uses a gun to stop a crime? Every NRA member dreams of having a memorable day afield just like this one. Some simple grunting can sometimes get it started. You can bet when early November rolls around, Mark Drury is going to be calling, up on his toes and ready for almost anything. Things can happen so quickly that you simply cannot let your guard down. There is a small window of opportunity where 360-degree eyesight would come in awfully handy. Shooting lanes are crucial. Mechanics and instincts take over. Every aspect of the hunt is equally important. Always be prepared for the unexpected. Boy, talk about extreme.
There you go. Man, that was a tremendous 8-point. He's in here running these does. Sometimes when they run like that, it's hard to get a shot.
Quick thinking, quick reaction, and being prepared for the unexpected. Things can happen so quickly in November. I've seen Brother Mark do it time and time again. He's actually better under pressure. This feeling never gets old. My gosh, what a morning. We had this big giant 8 coming in over here, grunting, running after this doe. He ran her all over the place, stayed in this brush. I could not get a shot. I grunted at him, but he's with her. He don't care. He went down in behind us, and he'd come back around. I'm trying to get a shot. And then over here, I hear a grunt over there in the cedars. And I grunted 2 times, and man, he grunted back, and here he came. And I had a shot right there, and I think I just got it. What a morning, November the 5th. It's beautiful weather. It just never gets old. That's bow hunt, man. What a hunt. Right there. Here's good blood. He's bleeding good here. Beautiful. Right there. Oh, baby. Oh my God. Look at this buck. Oh my gosh. Look at the body. Look at the size of this deer. Put the Hoyt Havoc down. My goodness, what a beautiful deer. Look at that. Look at the mass in his rack and the long main beams. You know, the epitome of a very big, mature Midwestern deer. Look at the size of his body. Probably a 4-year-old deer, I'm guessing, maybe 5, who knows.
He's very mature. And what a hunt we had this morning. Several ingredients that mixed in to make it all come together. Terry and I believe in that moon phase. Here it is November 5th this morning, and just a few days before the full moon, it's starting to trigger. We had a beautiful 8-point come in. He started chasing that doe, and he ran all over the place, you know, nudging her around, nosing her around. I could not get a shot. And Terry said later he had several shots, but that was his side of the tree. And then on my side of the tree, lo and behold, I heard a grunt. And I heard it again. I grunted back a couple times. I was getting ready to snort wheeze. I didn't even have to. Looked up, and he stepped through a little cedar opening, and then he came in, and he got behind some brush, and he started working a scrape. And I said, oh, please, come on a little bit further. The deer was straight downwind, which I was really worried about. And luckily, we were in the scent locks, and they worked for us. Nothing works every time, but they worked this morning. And he finally came in. I stopped him broadside and was able to make the shot. But I said in my interview after the hunt that this feeling never gets old. Well, there's just nothing better than the excitement of the rut, the excitement of white-tailed deer hunting, and the excitement of having it all culminate together and come in and find this deer. What a buck, what a hunt.
I was looking at that first 8-point as he drifted away thinking, I'm not going to get another chance. You seldom do whenever you're out there hunting the rut. But lo and behold, I got pumped when that second buck came in. Fantastic morning, November the 5th, as I said. What was I talking about when I said we're coming into that full moon period? Terry and I are really analytical in the way we watch deer, their movements as it pertains to the full moon that we call the hunter's moon. And really, that's the second moon past the fall equinox. The first one is the harvest moon. The second one is the hunter's moon. There's two that we watch. And it can happen as early as late October, like it did a couple years ago, or as late as mid to late November. This particular year, it was November the 11th. And we really start to see daytime activity increasing in the week that precedes the hunter's moon. It was November the 5th, 6 days prior to November the 11th. The bucks were starting to get up. They were nudging does around. They were going into doe bedding areas, trying to find the first available doe. As the moon progresses, or as you get closer to that full moon, you're going to start to see bucks tending does and chasing does. And we really feel the estrus peaks about 1 week after that hunter's moon. Key in on it, and you can start planning trips around that moon. One other point that I'll give you, during that hunt that helped out, I said I heard a buck grunt, and I called back. Do that. Be aggressive. If you think you even hear just the lightest little grunt back to him. You never know what something's going to emerge out of those cedars like it did for me that time.
There's nothing more exciting than to venture on to a new ranch only to see several nice bucks sparring about. It gives you some idea of the quality of animals that you're going to be hunting and the quantity of antler deer within your area. Jay McNaughton is in for the hunt of his life while being hosted by Doug Bories of Dynamic Hunting Services. I know a lot of hard-working members that may be saving up for 3, 4, or even 5 years, anxiously awaiting the day for that dream hunt. Well, plan accordingly. Watch the moon phase. Check with the National Weather Service for long-range forecasts. Shop for airfare bargain. And by all means, check those references. Go the extra mile to be assured of the quality hunt of a lifetime.
Position on an oat field this morning. Just a beautiful morning in South Texas. Saw a lot of activity out here today. Saw one nice, really nice, looked like a big 9-pointer, kind of slipping through the brush over here. We're going to probably reposition ourselves if the wind lets us. See if we can get on the other side of this field in that back corner. Maybe we'll get a shot at him this afternoon. We've been hunting this field pretty hard, but most of the deer we've been seeing have been over in this corner. We got the wind in our favor today. We thought we'd come over here, set up. Hopefully we'll get lucky. Really nice buck moving over here that we've seen for 2 or 3 nights. There's a couple does right over there.
to reposition only if the wind will allow you to do so. That's the key, no matter where you're hunting. So much of our success comes from observed movement, picking the right spot and waiting for the perfect wind. It's worked time and time again. South Texas is no different than any other state when it comes to fooling their noses.
There's a nice 8-pointer, big 8-pointer. Really good. That's a big deer. There he goes. He's down. That's a big 8-pointer. That's a nice deer. I think that's the biggest deer I've ever killed. That's a great deer. Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome. Boy, what a beautiful buck. That is the biggest buck I've ever taken. One of the biggest I've seen, I think. First time in South Texas, down with Doug Bories from Dynamic Hunting Services. What a world-class outfit. There's just some beautiful deer here. I am thrilled, tickled pink about this guy. We're sitting on this oat field and we were watching some pretty nice bucks come in, but we knew there were some nicer ones here. And we saw him. We'd been waiting an hour and a half or 2 hours or so, and he came in just like we had hoped. Made a great shot on him. I'm just thrilled. This is just a beautiful deer. When I came up on him, I was watching him in the field, and man, I was like, what a beautiful buck. But when I came up on him, he's even bigger than I thought he was. What a great buck. Thank you, Doug. What a great hunt.
Anytime you head out of state to hunt whitetails or any game animal, you want to have the best experience and the best hunt that you can when you're there. You heard Jay say it in that interview. I'm in South Texas for the first time, and lo and behold, he killed the biggest deer of his life. Well, there's always some research that goes into an out-of-state trip, whether you're going on your own or whether you use the services of an outfitter. We like to hunt with a lot of different outfitters all across the country, whether we're in Kansas with Dave Holland, or whether we're down South Texas with Doug Bories, or Terra Rosa Ranch, or the Rocker Bee Ranch, 178,000 acres. Well, how did we find these outfitters? We networked. We talked to other people that had been there. We heard good stories about them, things about accommodations, food, and more importantly, the quality of the deer herd, how many deer people are seeing, what the chance of success might be. You never want to expect 100% success, but the research you do prior to hunt can ensure more success once you get there. So take some time before the hunt, and you're going to have a better experience once you're there.
Well, we told you we were going to talk about safety. So analyze the following dramatization and see if you can pick out 2 or 3 no-nos with regard to firearm safety, other than just the obvious, and then see if they don't apply to you. Watch carefully.
Boy, there's a very interesting scenario that any hunter can relate to. The guy's out enjoying the spring turkey woods. He's got his mind on that goblin bird, crawling along with that gun. All of a sudden, what happened? Gun barrel goes into the mud. Can you relate to that? I'll bet you can. It's happened to all of us, whether it's mud or snow or whatever obstruction gets in the end of that barrel. It's something that can happen every day when you're in the field, and it presents a very serious danger out there in the field, one that needs to be taken very seriously. You should check the end of that gun barrel. What did that guy do wrong in that situation? Well, obviously, you don't want to be crawling around at any time going through the dirt like that. He should have backed out, walked around, and then come in to work that turkey. But if you do encounter that situation where you get an obstruction in the end of your gun barrel, number one, first and foremost, unload immediately if it's already been loaded. Secondly, take the barrel off if you can. Look down through the barrel, try to clear the obstruction. In that case, the screw-in choke came out, he cleared it, he still took the barrel off, looked through it to make sure everything was clear before he went on to another safe hunt. If you have to, take the barrel out, cut a long stick possibly, and then take the obstruction through. And in worst case scenario, take it into a gunsmith or take it home and clean it real good, but make sure you check for that obstruction and get it cleared before you travel on to a safe hunt.
Well, I certainly hope that you recognize the red and white heads of the decoys peeking out of the hunter's vest. What a likely target. Also, under no circumstances should a hunter be crawling around with a loaded firearm where the trigger could accidentally catch on an upright stub, rock, or stick.
As a hunter and conservationist, you need to know about the NRA's Hunter Services Division. Now, this is a multifaceted division that deals with all aspects of hunting in North America and around the world. And one of the true hidden treasures within this division is the Great American Whitetail Collection. There is no question about it. This is the collection of the most magnificent whitetails in the world. They're some of the highest scoring typicals ever, non-typicals ever, bucks taken by hunters, bucks found on the side of the road or railroad tracks. You just will not believe these antlers when you see them. And Mr. Bob Davis, NRA's Director of Hunter Services, is going to be showcasing some of these bucks for you.
McIntyre buck, which was killed in 1999, is a typical that scores 198 and an 1/8. He was killed in New Brunswick by NRA member Bill McIntyre. An incredible buck, he has 18 scoreable points. He scores as a 7x5 on the Boone and Crockett scale. A real rangy, big frame, typical. Just an incredible buck. Nice tall tines, good long beams, carries a good mass. It has been recognized by some as the largest typical killed since Milo Hansen killed his deer in 1993, and just a big buck that really adds to the Great American Whitetail Collection, being number 17 all time typical. Brings him well into the top 1% of all time, which is a criteria that we look for in displaying the Great American Whitetail Collection.
Temperatures are falling rapidly. Swirling winds escort in a fast approaching winter storm, smack dab in the middle of the rut. All of the key ingredients to conjure up the sweet smell of success. Fortunately, the high winds force us to choose a deep ravine where the gale forces are substantially minimized. The sounds of calling carry well. It just so happens that whitetails can avoid those same swirling winds by utilizing protective structure for travel routes while in search of hot does. Don't overlook those obvious windbreaks. They can be major magnets during certain weather conditions. Little did I know what this one evening would bring.
My God, what an evening. It's unbelievable what kind of mood they put on this evening, but it was like one of those days you just live for. We saw deer just moving all over. We caught a glimpse of the big buck down here, and he didn't come in. No shot opportunity at all. And then this buck right here in front of us, he comes in, he's following a couple does, and we had two other does down here that was stomping just a little bit, had cut our track on the way in. So he stops right there, turns, and just goes right up into the thicket and lost him. So no chance for a shot, but it was a tremendous evening.
The early dawn of yet another day always provides renewed hope for different opportunities. On this particular morning, redemption will be in the equation, but not without first making the easiest of harvests somewhat more complex and at the expense of my own abilities. Watch closely, but try not to laugh like Mark did.
What a morning. They call me old sure shot, dead eye. I'm blind in one eye and I can't see out of the other. Here I've hunted all season, trying to get an opportunity with a bow. Had some luck early, but here this deer is at 6 steps, 7 steps. And I guess I shot under him with the first shot because I tucked it low. And I don't know, I just missed him. But I put a subsequent shot on him and it appeared to hit him pretty good. And he's a big, wide, mature deer. He looks like a management buck. I'm hunting one of my farms. And it's a deer that I want to take out of the herd. He's a great mature animal. He's a big-bodied deer, nice rack. He's the epitome of what you'd like to kill with a slug gun. And I know Mark likes to hunt with a muzzleloader, but a muzzleloader only gives you one opportunity, and I need more than one. I'm not as accurate as some of those other guys. So it's a tremendous morning. What a beautiful morning.
Okay, I've got to interject just a little bit here. I was behind the camera that day, and I felt like I was whistling Dixie as Terry was taking those shots. Our whistle is the signal to go ahead and shoot. Every time I'd whistle, he'd shoot, I'd whistle again, he'd shoot again, and I thought, come on, please hit this deer. He finally did and put the deer down for good. Well, I was wondering how many shells he had left as we stayed there, because I knew he had a doe tag in his pocket, and I wanted to see if he could redeem himself when these next few does started coming in.
Boy, I don't know how I always seem to make the most routine of hunts into the most difficult scenarios. It just happens. Mark has shown that hunt to everybody he knows, all rolling at my marksmanship. I guess I would rather be lucky than good. Well, here's an opportunity at a mature doe to redeem myself, to manage your own individual hunting area effectively. Always try to be conscious of buck-to-doe ratio numbers. Take personalized notes when afield, keeping close count, no matter where you hunt, a farm, a club, or even public areas. Try to do your part.
Man, you gotta love it. What a morning.
As a gun owner and NRA member, I can assure you that the harvest is always a pleasure. But the fact that we even have the opportunity to exercise our rights as hunters, we must consider ourselves extremely fortunate, thanks to the unending work by the NRA.
This is just a morning you live for. It's 25, 30 degrees, and a beautiful buck came in chasing does after I'd already shot my buck. It's just, you just don't have mornings like that. Boy, can't say enough. The epitome of what you like to see coming at you early morning, a big, wide frame buck with a big body, lumbering up through there, first light. I wasn't even ready. You know, you spend all year anticipating opening day of firearm season, it is here in the Midwest, but you think about the shot and the shot placement and so on and so forth, but when a deer like this comes in and you're not ready, I was putting my gloves on, putting the head net on, trying to get my safety belt on. Here's this deer within bow range. I've had some luck early with the archery season, but it was tough. It always is. It's always hard for us to try and harvest mature deer on film with archery equipment. So when you see a deer like this coming, you just think, man, oh man, this is too awesome. And it was. It was a crisp, cool morning, 25, 30 degrees, and you couldn't ask for a better day. High pressure system, and then lo and behold, after we harvest this particular deer, and then bang, that beautiful 10-point. He's dogging does, nudging them around, and I just stood there and took it all in. It was something that you live for mornings like that. And you know, we work real hard at it, and we cherish moments like this, and I hope that we can continue to do it in the future. It's a moment that I'll always remember. Great morning, great deer.
No one was happier to see that buck coming than me. I'm always happy for Terry whenever I'm behind the camera and you see one of those shooters heading our way. And really, that was one of those mornings he mentioned. It was a morning to remember. He was out there just enjoying the great outdoors, and that's really the tip that I'd like to interject at this part of the video is enjoy yourself. You're out there, some aren't as fortunate as us, and I know that's one thing Terry and I always strive for. We start getting down because the weather's a little bad, or we start to get a little depressed because the deer aren't moving. Well, by gosh, we're lucky to even be there, and we have to constantly remind ourselves because it can wear on you. And you know, you really shouldn't pressure yourself either. We talk to a lot of guys across cafes, across the Midwest, and well, I haven't got my buck this year. Well, so what, man? Let's go out there and have a good time and enjoy the sport that we all so dearly love.
We want you to come and visit the National Firearms Museum, located in Fairfax, Virginia, and take a real trip back through American history. In it, you'll find thousands of historic and rare firearms. Doug Wickland, curator of the museum, is going to talk to you a little bit about these fascinating firearms pieces you're sure to enjoy.
I'm Doug Wickland, and you've come to the NRA's National Firearms Museum, where thousands of guns tell the story of firearms, freedom, and the American experience. One of the guns that helps us to tell a little bit about American history is a gun that belonged to a famous American and an NRA life member. Theodore Roosevelt, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, and also an avid hunter, owned this Browning semi-automatic pistol. It was a piece that he kept in his nightstand drawer during his White House years. Its mother-of-pearl grips, full engraving, and also gold inlay make this one of the many treasures at the National Firearms Museum. We have this gun and many other presidential pieces on display, and as folks visit the museum, they get a chance to see a little bit more of what American history is really all about.
Did you know that the white-tailed deer is the most popular game animal in the U.S., with some 11 million hunters chasing an estimated 20 to 25 million deer each fall?
seeing a lot of rutting activity here. High pressure's moved out, moving in this evening rather, and hopefully maybe something will be on its feet. I don't know, but hey, it can't hurt. We're on the way through here. Let's see what gives.
After a number of years studying deer and their body posture, you too can become more productive by reading an individual deer and determining how aggressive to become with your calling. As a member, it can mean taking extreme measures.
I cannot believe we rattled that buck in on the ground like that. Man, they are responding. The rut is on. They're responding to the calling and rattling, and man, I'm telling you, we got him. We're in northern Wisconsin. The rut's in full swing. A lot of fighting, a lot of rubbing, a lot of scraping. Everything's, I'm talking full swing. Nice mature buck. I would say probably a 3.5 to 4.5 year old deer. Big neck. What can I say? You know, sometimes you have to get lucky. We seen a good buck come in his thicket this morning when we was coming out for lunch, and thought we would get in here and do a little rattling, a little grunting, see what would give. Sure enough, you never know what can happen, and you know, it just doesn't get any better than this.
We spoke earlier about body posture and studying deer vocalizations. Each and every deer has a personality, some more aggressive than others. Understanding those personalities through mutual vocalizations can be extremely productive. Placing yourself in an area of high traffic, namely bed to feed, is always eventful during the rut.
Man, was that exciting or what? The signs of the rut kicking in are here. As you can tell, the does aren't quite ready, but the bucks are getting real anxious. If you noticed the urgency in that buck's grunt when he tried to cut that doe off when she tried to go back around him. The bucks are getting real anxious. We're hunting a real heavy travel corridor right here, going from bed to feeding area, because a lot of the does are going into the little field over here to feed. This time of the year, when you start seeing signs of the rut like that and the bucks are getting ready, they're going to start cruising and hanging in these areas where all the doe traffic's at. So hopefully we can catch a good doe that's in the heat and bring a good buck by. Maybe we can get a shot today, but I think we're in the right spot.
On this particular hunt, a valuable lesson is to be learned. One in which the personal quality of persistence is beneficial. Joe is hunting an individual deer and has been for several days. The huge buck corrals a hot doe into a deep hollow and then maintains vigil with that doe. After having observed this behavior, Joe moves in only on the proper wind direction. For those fortunate hunters who have witnessed a mature buck tending a hot doe for several days while acting like a cutting horse in the process, it enables one to better understand behavioral patterns of an adult deer with a domineering possessiveness.
She's bringing back out. Here he comes.
The true sign of a disciplined hunter is one that patiently watches and waits for the right moment to move in an attempt to catch a mature deer, make one errand play. only to capitalize with an effective harvest. The valuable lesson is the patience to wait for the right time while yet being persistent enough to stick it out for 3 or 4 days. A lot of guys I know would bulldog their way in the first day only to push the deer out of this little hollow, never to be seen again. Mature deer don't take much pressure.
Yeah, baby. We've had that buck in here on us. This makes the 3rd time. The 4th time if you count when he went in right there. He's had a doe in there for 3 days. He will not let her out of that hollow. We finally got on him and we seen him crashing right into a tree. I swear I think we've nailed him. He's the best buck I've seen on my farm since I've bought this place. Man, he can't get any better than this. Well worth the wait. We nailed him, baby.
What a beautiful, typical 10-point mature whitetail. Opening day of the shotgun season in the Midwest. It took 3 encounters with this guy to give us a good broadside shot. He was tending a doe in a hollow and he was trying to cut her off from popping out. He turned broadside and gave us the shot. What a way to fill your tag. A beautiful buck. It's what dreams are made of in the Midwest. Great deer.
Boy, you know, whenever you climb a tree, you certainly don't expect to see a 150-inch deer coming at you, but you always hope for that. And what a great hunt for Joe. We're always tickled when he has success or he has some luck. Well, you know, here's a situation where he's hunting in open hardwoods, and there probably isn't another place on earth that's any tougher than that, other than maybe a pine thicket down in Mississippi or somewhere. Well, there's a real trick to hunting those, and there's no science or no magic behind it. What do? Well, here's where you got to switch gears again and be flexible enough to look and analyze the spot and say, where have I seen the majority of the does? This is the peak of the rut. You're looking for doe travel corridors, or maybe real defined trails that they use for feeding pattern or movement to a bedding thicket. So be prepared and be flexible enough to switch from that rub line or that scrape line that you're sitting over the top of just waiting for that buck to come by, and be prepared to move into a spot where you see does regularly. You know, a real defined travel corridor.
Well, here we are again, during a dramatization, attempting to stress the importance of safety to all of our members. In this day and time, if you or someone you know is at serious risk with any type of health issues, encourage that person to make certain that someone knows of their whereabouts when traveling afield. It could quite possibly save someone's life.
When we tried to choose the individual safety tips for the American Hunter video collection, we wanted to represent tips that we all face out there in the field each and every day. And here's one that you're probably not going to get in a hunter safety course, and that is letting someone know where you're going before you go afield. Because if you think about it, when you go out afield, you never know what's going to happen. What if you mistakenly fell out of your tree stand? What if you twisted an ankle? What if you had a heart attack or got ill where you couldn't get out anymore? Who's going to come and find you if they don't know where you're at? To prevent something serious from really happening, number one, always let someone know where you're going. And don't just say what general farm. Tell them what section of the farm or what tree stand you're hunting or exactly where your position is. Number two, if you don't have that opportunity, leave a note on your vehicle so that if you don't return to that vehicle, someone can say, okay, he was supposed to go hunt the brushy oak stand. Or number three, if you own a cell phone, carry that cell phone on you into the field. It just might save your life.
You know, we've hunted literally all over the United States in some pretty bad weather, pretty bad conditions, but this takes the cake. I've never hunted in weather quite so brutal as this. The wind's blowing about 20 to 30, gusting up to 30 mile an hour. The temperature is 2 degrees above zero. The wind chill factor is 35 to 40 below. It's snowing, blowing, and we're gonna go climbing a blind and try and kill a deer yet this evening. Man's gotta be crazy. Want to do this?
Wind is blowing so hard, you just literally cannot stand it out there. So we're in a box blind, the only box blind we really had to go to, and the wind's actually right for it, believe it or not. And there's some deer in the field. There's some beans and a little bit of milo down at the other end, and there was deer in the field, but we ran part of them out. There's still a lot of turkeys, but the conditions are so bad, the deer were right back in the field as soon as we climbed up the blind. So hopefully we'll have some luck.
If there is one constant or given fact, it is when weather conditions are so severe that deer must have food to survive. The food conversely turns into energy. This stored energy must be replenished often in order for them to maintain and function properly. If these types of conditions persist and the food source is depleted, many will not make it through the harsh conditions. We as individuals have difficulty lasting only 3 to 4 hours out in the element, even with highly advanced fabrics to endure the coldest of conditions. This truly is as extreme as it gets. A lot of NRA members can relate to brutal conditions. Just think back to that last time when your toes were froze, your fingers slightly frostbit, and your ears stung. We've all been there at some point, when suddenly that monster appears.
Tremendous deer. Absolutely phenomenal. Really big buck in the field. I told you these conditions are brutal, and until these deer are on this food, it's unbelievable.
For all intensive purposes, my effective range for the particular slug gun that I'm shooting is between 150 and 160 yards.
More deer coming in the field. Coming this way. Run.
I would sure like to see these monsters feed my way 50 or 60 yards. It could make all the difference in the world. Modern rangefinders tend to be extremely accurate if you are accustomed to using them frequently. By knowing actual distances in an open field setting, you automatically have a slight advantage. Do not try to go beyond your effective range. Stay within your means and be ethical about your shot.
Come on, baby, just come this way. No, see. That's right. That's it. Down right here. Where'd he go? He's in the middle of the field. Left. Dog. some deer started exiting the field. The only thing I can think of was a coyote or something they saw. They didn't like it. But he just, what a magnificent 8-point, tremendous deer. Whew. Gets my blood boiling even though I'm cold.
Boy, absolutely brutal conditions. Those are the worst conditions that I've ever hunted in. You know, the wind chill factor was 40 to 45 below zero. We literally wore the hinges off of that door because it was the only box blind on the farm, and I wasn't about to sit in a tree stand with those kinds of conditions. I had every piece of clothing on and had the little heater there in the blind. Well, I hunted it several evenings after that because once I saw him, he's a 160-inch 9-point. I thought that he would come back out into that bean field. It was late season, and there was, it was really one of the only food sources around, so I felt real confident that I'd see him again, but he just didn't come back out and give me an opportunity. Well, Mark was no dummy. He knew that that deer eventually would show up into that feed field, so boy, he scurried up as soon as I had to head back home. He was there, waiting.
There's an interesting point. You noticed all of those horses are on their feet and feeding, and my Grandpa Ritter used to always tell me, watch your livestock, that'll tell you what your deer are doing. And they should be, really, because there's a major cold front that came through. The temperature started out in the 20s this morning. We're now down in single digits. We've got a 30 to 40 mile an hour northwest wind, which puts those wind chills down at 30 or 40 below frigid temperatures. So hopefully our horses will show us what the deer are doing, and we'll see some deer come into the food plots. It's identical to the conditions Terry had last week when we saw that big 9-point. Boy, these conditions are brutal. 30 below wind chill. There's already a flock of turkeys out. One big doe back here.
If all things remain true to farm, this entire field will fill up with deer. The only question is, will the big, tall 9-point show up again? Mark's hopes were certainly high. The conditions are extreme. The food supply is abundant. He must simply bear the elements and wait.
By the fence in the woods. Come on. Oh, God, no.
Boy, oh boy, the big ones always seem to show up right at last light. Mark's got to be anticipating a shot at this bruiser. Food is the magnet that will lure them in given enough time and patience. Persevering extreme temperatures test your mental and physical conditions. Now, waiting for just the right shot becomes imperative.
I got him. I saw him kick. Oh, I saw the telltale kick. I think I just got him. Right down in that hole. Man, what a nice deer. I didn't think we'd ever see that deer again. He came out early. There was a bunch of deer out here, and this wind is so strong. Those deer, they get really nervous in this wind, and they ran back, and it stopped him at the fence, and he finally worked back in. I said, oh no, we'll never see him again. And sure enough, last light, luckily, he came back out and gave me a nice shot at about 155, 160 yards. He kicked real high right when I shot and ran down the hole. Oh, it makes it worth sitting out in these temperatures. It is so cold. He said it was 40 below wind chill. But I think we got him. I think it was worth it. Whew. Woo. There's a beautiful sunrise. What a gorgeous sight to cap off a fantastic hunt last night. It was 10 o'clock before we got him out. Extreme conditions. We decided to come in this morning with better light. Look at this deer. We've got him propped up. Fantastic, fantastic mature 9-point. Same 9-point that was out last week for Terry. Some does got nervous. Before he got in range, they took him out of the field. Terry's luck, wouldn't you know it? He's on a different hunt this week. I still had a tag, came up here, same conditions, 40 below wind chills. He started to come out, doe started to get nervous. I thought, oh no, here we go again. But that high power soybean food source, that's what we like in our food plots for late season hunting, brought him back out just at last light. Gave me about 155, 160 yard shot, and luckily I was able to take the animal. Just a gorgeous deer though. And we went back last night and compared him. We've got the shed to this deer. Our nephew Jared Lurk found this shed in this same food plot while we were planting a green field. You can see that G1 curving inward, extremely high on the beam, just like this one. Look at the growth he's had in 1 year. This is about a 130, low 130s type 8-point. He's grown into a 9-point buck in the mid 50s, I'd say. That's some phenomenal growth for 1 year. Not a bad investment from 3 to 4 years old. You know, I think one of the neatest things that Terry and I have learned over the last 10 or 12 years while we're out there chasing these wonderful creatures is that late season can be just as active, if not more active, than any other time of the year. We love early season on green fields. We love doing deer drives. We love the rut when the bucks are so active. So no matter how you hunt them, we love to do it. But late season, you can see a boatload of deer. If you get harsh conditions, highs in the teens or below, with severe wind chills, hopefully below zero, plus snow, those conditions really put the deer on their feet in search of an available food source, regardless of what that food source is. Maybe it's still leftover mass crop. What we like to do is plant food plots in early spring, April and May, and then we like to go in and hunt those food plots in the month of December and January if your season allows. And generally it's either standing beans, standing milo, or standing corn, and you're going to see a lot of deer on their feet coming to those food sources. So late season hunting can be oftentimes some of our most exciting times of field.
Did you know that in 1871, Colonel William C. Church and General George Wingate formed the NRA to promote and encourage rifle shooting on a scientific basis? Now, we will take you back in time so that you may relive one of the most memorable hunts of all time. This could quite possibly be one of the largest wild, free-ranging whitetails ever captured on film. Marvel at the size of this absolute giant. I know I certainly cannot see it enough. Try to put yourself in this position and imagine how you might react.
That hunt still haunts me to this day. But, fortunately for me and the Drury Outdoors team, it's a new season. And I think you'll agree, dreams do come true.
There is no better way to rebuild your confidence than to fall off, only to climb right back into the saddle. Don is just hoping and praying for the chance to redeem himself. Yet again, try to imagine yourself in this position.
Yes! Yes! Oh, God. What a buck. Oh, my God, yes. I can't believe it. I can't believe he snuck up on us. Snuck up on that far side and looked right in the tree. How he did not pick us out. It had to be his mossy old camouflage. Right at us. Oh, my God. Hunting a perfect bedding area. I rattled probably 20 minutes ago. Maybe he was coming right up here to us. What a incredible buck. Look at this. There's first blood right here. You're standing right here. Tell you what, when we position our tree stand for morning stands, we always try to keep the sun on our back. That way when they're looking back toward your tree, if you make noise or whatever, they just can't see you. There's good blood immediately. Should be a short track job. Oh, here he is. God, what a monster buck. Look at that rack. Man, what a body, too. Huge. Now, I tell you what, I can't emphasize the fact how they can sneak up on you after you rattle. Boy, when it's hard rut and you rattle, you better be ready. Because he did. He just snuck right in on us. We weren't ready at all. And luckily, we got positioned and got a good shot off at him. But, boy, it was touchy. What a buck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got a few deductions on the base, a couple big points. Got a curving brow tine even. Wow. That is something. It's hard to beat the rut. The monsters just come out of the woodwork. I don't know where they come from. They're just cruising everywhere looking for hot dogs.
So many of our fine members are avid turkey hunters that we felt compelled to share in a memorable hunt that was simply breathtaking. To my knowledge, nothing has ever been captured on film that is even remotely close to this incredible event that we witnessed in the canyon country of southeast Colorado.
some speed up coming off there, especially that big gobbler.
It looked like ducks landed locked up to land almost when they got to that tree. And that last gobbler really had trouble slowing down. You could hear him all the way up here.
Yeah, you could hear their wing beats where the hens you couldn't hear.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Up here, see if you can get those decoys out. I think he's far enough back up there that you can get the decoys out right there on that point. And then we'd leave right on up here. And he should see the decoy as soon as he breaks into the open here.
Why don't you get in that big seat here and Scott and I'll set the decoys.
Okay, fine.
No, we'll stay back.
All right.
Colorado morning. Who could ask for a better start to a hunt?
That's a great way to start one, isn't it?
It is indeed. Scott, tell us a little bit about this beautiful canyon that we came down in here. And I guess these birds have been here a long time?
Oh, forever. It's called Chiquat Canyon, and it goes
You follow this around through, it's 18 miles through here, and it just makes you a loop around here. And these turkeys in here, they haven't been hunted a whole lot, but one thing about them, they'll gobble, and with this echo and everything, it's hard pinpointing just exactly where they're at. Sometimes you'll think they're over here, and then you find out that they're over here.
Well, Tad had the answer. He got that coyote howler going, and man, from that point on, things fell in place, didn't they?
Yeah, we've got this road where we're driving through this canyon, and you said we'd just ease our way in, and we used our new power howler we got coming out next year, and man, in this canyon it carries. Once you got to sit down, I worked that turkey with our Mini Master box call. It's a new call we got coming to the market this next year. It's a little call with a big sound. I mean, it.
Well, the first time you hit him with that, he loved that high pitch. He came in and hammered on it. And I don't know how much you could tell. I know you two guys were back behind, but he absolutely loved it. And he was coming steady and answering that call right along, and did what you want a turkey to do. And man,
yeah, we got the end result we were after, that's for sure.
Aren't these Miriam's things of beauty too? I mean,
they are
those,
pretty, very
those
pretty
white
subspecies
cream
turkey.
tip feathers. I think they're the most beautiful turkey, and what a glorious way to start a hunt.
Talked a little about the Hunter Services Division. You know, one of the most important programs that they spearhead is the Youth Hunter Education Challenge. I'm sure everyone will agree there's nothing more important than investing in the kids in the future of hunting. Let's take a quick look at a very special father and son hunt.
Well, I couldn't imagine if we didn't have, guns and hunting in our, everyday atmosphere. It makes such a bond between father, sons, husband, wife. We get a lot of women that take kids out. Maybe single mothers, they are able to go play sports with their sons, and if their son or daughter likes to hunt, they'll take them out hunting. And so I really cherish the time we get to spend together in the woods and out of the woods. So this past year I flew him down on a whitetail hunt. It's a particular deer I've been watching for 3 or 4 weeks. Real nice bird. And I had him patterned. The sun came in, we actually got the deer on video. Real nice 13-point, 22-inch spread.
Good shot, Deej. You got him. You got him.
And there's nothing like seeing the expression on his face after harvesting a real nice buck like that. It's something you can cherish forever. This spring, of course, in Mississippi, they have a special youth hunt. So I took my son DJ on a turkey hunt, his first eastern hunt. But it's a little piece of land I have in South Mississippi that's a lot of turkeys. We came in. I've been watching the birds 2 or 3 days ahead of time. We got in there, 3 big long beards come strutting in, got it on video.
Come on, feathers to the left. Take it. Good shot. Hold still, hold still.
His first eastern turkey. In fact, the turkey had a 12-inch beard, 1.5-inch spurs, as good as anything I've ever harvested. So just to see the expression on his face, to see a turkey that big come in was it was wonderful. I'm a member of the NRA, and I think it's great for what they do for the outdoors, the hunting atmosphere. Of course, my son is too. He's a member. My father's a member. My whole family, basically. And if it wasn't for the NRA, I don't know what we would have. We wouldn't be able to get out and enjoy the outdoors the way we do. So it's just, everything's positive about it. In a whole, it is very, very good for the outdoors.
The National Rifle Association Whittington Center, located in Raton, New Mexico, is a facility for NRA members, shooting programs, and youth programs. Covering 33,000 acres, it's almost as big as the state of Rhode Island. At the NRA Whittington Center, children of all ages are treated to special programs specifically designed for them. Each year, youngsters from all over the nation participate in the Youth Hunter Education Challenge, also known as YHEC. In this program, children learn to compete in muzzleloading shooting, rifle shooting, and archery. Another educational tool of the Youth Hunter Education Challenge is the Hunter Safety Trail. This is a course that teaches young people firearms responsibility, range identification, and wildlife identification. Participants in the Youth Hunter Education Challenge are taught sportsmanship, responsibility, safety, and hunting skills. Once again, let's drop in on Bob Davis as he highlights another phenomenal whitetail in the NRA's collection.
The Hill Gold buck, which was Maine's #1 non-typical of all time, was killed in 1910. Was killed in Washington County, Maine. One of the unique characteristics of this buck, he's palmated extremely. Back in that time, Maine issued a deer permit that you could kill actually a white-tailed deer or a moose with the same permit. Hill Gould, when he shot the buck, actually thought that he was shooting a small moose at the time. Shot it in a bog there in his home county, and as I said, in 1910, and enormous palmation on this animal. Incredible. He scores 259 flat, non-typical, as his net score with Boone and Crockett. The buck is still owned by the Gould family, and just an incredible head.
Did you know that due to England's gun bans, their Olympic shooting team must travel to France to practice? Kind of a double standard, don't you agree? Now we'll tag along with NRA benefactor Bernie Hurt on a spot and stalk elk hunt. Spot and stalk hunts can be challenging both physically and mentally. Be prepared for demanding treks, pushing your body to extreme limits. Make sure to wear proper clothing and remember to carry a good set of optics. For those members who have been lucky enough to venture out on an elk hunt, know that it is one thing to spot a herd, but clearly a whole nother ballgame when it comes to stalking up on them. There are numerous sets of eyes that can detect you and an entire herd of noses that can wind you. It is imperative to keep the wind in your favor at all times. Only a slight air current in the wrong direction can get them up and moving. Maneuvering through thick cover with the wind in your favor is the only way to get around and in front of the herd. This normally requires a lot of walking and stalking. You must be prepared to drop down and make the shot at a moment's notice. If you look real closely, you can watch the trajectory of Bernie's bullet, something rarely caught on tape.
Well, Bernie, you know, coming out this afternoon that we got into them tracks off the road there, I thought, boy, we're gonna get into some elk today.
Yeah, we saw a lot of tracks.
And so when we got up there on that ridge back there, that we seen these elk bedded, come out there, and what'd you think of when that 3-bite come out on us?
Well, it was interesting. He stood right there for 15 minutes and fed right there 75 yards away. And but he was just not quite the one I wanted.
Yeah, he wasn't very well. And then after he left, finally the cows started coming out, and then this guy come out. We almost had him there, didn't we?
Yep, but I never really got beat on him. He walked through that clearing real fast and disappeared into the bushes there. So glad we snuck up on him down here.
Yeah, we had to put a little bit of a stalk on him. We got around on him.
And Gold 338 did the job.
Yep, I'd say it did a nice job. And this first blood it drew, huh?
That's the highest first blood.
Well, let's go ahead and get our business out of here and get this guy cleaned up and see how we can get down here to get him out. Because I think that storm that they're talking about moving in. So.
Let's watch as American Rifleman shooting editor Scott Mayer gets us started zeroing in that newly mounted scope.
A bore sighting tool is great if you have one for getting your first shots on paper, or if your gunsmith doesn't offer those sorts of services. You can also do it yourself with a bolt action or a single shot rifle, where you can remove the bolt and look through the bore. Put the rifle in a steady rest and have a target downrange that has a large, easy to see bullseye on it. Look through the bore and move the rifle around until you can see that bullseye right in the middle of your bore, and then look up through your scope and adjust your crosshairs until your crosshairs are right on target too. Adjust each side a little at a time until you've moved it right on the bullseye, and keep checking to make sure you haven't moved the gun. When you have the target in the center of the bore and in the center of the crosshairs, it's time to fire a shot. Let's go take a look. As you can see, our first shots are on paper. Now we can make a fine adjustment so that they're in the bullseye. We need to go over 6 inches and down about 3. Let's go make some scope adjustments. We needed to come over 6 and down about 3. So you can look at your adjustment turrets and see which way you need to turn it. Turrets are also marked in increments, usually in inches, or fractions of an inch, or an MOA. 1 MOA is equal to about 1 inch at 100 yards. So you can figure for every inch you need to move your bullet, you need to move it 1 MOA. We're going to come over 1 more inch, but I'm only going to come down about 1 more inch too, because we're at a 50-yard range, and since this rifle is going to be shot at 100 yards and farther, I want to have a little bit of room for bullet drop at longer ranges. That little bit of extra effort can make the difference between coming home successful or empty-handed.
The year is 1806. You're in Europe and you're a famous French general. Perhaps you've won a mighty battle and someone's given you a special gun like this one. The man who's handing it to you is Napoleon Bonaparte. It was one of his treasures and now it's yours. And as you visit the National Firearms Museum, wandering through its galleries, seeing guns that are equally engraved, inlaid, pieces that have fine fitted cheek pieces, gold and silver inlay on the barrels. These are guns that speak to you. These are guns that take you to a specific place and time. We can't all visit Napoleon Bonaparte, but in the National Firearms Museum, we're able to visit a little piece of the past.
The old cliche of saving the best for last certainly rings true here. You are about to witness one of the best elk hunts of all time, in my opinion. For those true blue elk hunters, savor this moment. Someday maybe this phenomenal event could happen to you. Enjoy.
I mean, it zipped right through. He never knew what hit him. I mean, it was just, I'm shaking like a leaf. Huh? No, he was right there, buddy.
Oh, he was coming after me out back there.
Yeah, he was coming down the road, and then you started giggling at him, and he said, well, I think I'm gonna go up there and get above him. And he came right there, and I mean,
What's that?
I'm shaking.
Hey, white as a goat. I've never seen you this way.
Oh,
Guess we can find it?
I have a pretty good blood trail. Whew, it's just not often you get a big bull like this to act like that. We came down that road, we heard him, and got in his cows, and fortunately we didn't bust him. We set up.
Wind was right.
The wind was perfect, and you got back there and did your thing.
His hyperlip there.
And they were answering it, but he wouldn't come.
Right.
And then when you started answering yourself.
Terminator
Bullhorn.
I think you broke every limb out of that tree back there, didn't you? Well, let's do something, you know. Just
That's what he was coming. I mean, he thought another bull had moved in and stolen one of the cows, and here he came.
got
So
it.
it worked. It worked.
We got work to do now.
All right, let's go. You ready, Kenneth?
I'm ready.
There is a conclusion to every great story, but our story doesn't end here. It's just a sampling of what is yet to come in the future. Let's look back and reflect on some of the monumental moments within our program. Scott Mayer, shooting editor for the American Rifleman magazine, helped us along on some worthwhile tips. You also saw some vitally important safety tips that you need to remember in the future. We became even more enlightened about the Youth Hunter Education Challenge, or YHEC, and its increasing importance in developing and preparing our fine youth in the proper techniques of identification, sportsmanship, and safety. We listened in on Bob Davis as he aroused our interest about the Great American Whitetail Collection, showcasing just two of the many wonderful specimens, the McIntyre buck and the Hill Gould buck. We took a trip back in time with Doug Wicklund as he held beautiful pieces once belonging to President Teddy Roosevelt, and more historically, an unbelievable gun once owned by Napoleon Bonaparte. Just a sampling of what the majestic museum actually holds. Also, a couple of hair-raising elk hunts for that big game adventurer. And then, the real gold strike, a myriad of fantastic whitetails that any sportsman or NRA member would love to see in the outdoors, or in their trophy room for that matter. They alone make this entire collection worthwhile. 100% wild, free-ranging whitetails on their feet before your eyes. All in all, a power-packed piece to enjoy with something for everyone. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this production. We would like to sincerely thank you for supporting the NRA by being a part of this video collection. It was created and produced for you.
Behind the scenes at the United Nations and around the world, the movement against your gun rights is gaining money and momentum fast. Their target is the United States. Their objectives are international gun registration, global gun confiscation, and an end to your right to keep and bear arms. Don't think they can't do it. They can. England, India, and Australia have all signed on with gun bans aimed at ending civilian firearms ownership. The global spread of gun ban fever is as close as Canada and has crossed our borders. Think about it. If there were no America, there would be no freedom anywhere. If there were no Second Amendment, there would be no firearm freedom in America. And if there were no NRA, you can bet there would be no Second Amendment. That's why right now, your voice and your vote are more important than ever. Here's more.
The government ruined me.
They came here prepared to smash the door down and throw in stun and flash grenades. That was the plan.
This is Canada?
You know, this is not the Canada I know.
The 7 million firearms owners of this country have ceased to trust its government.
What's at stake is a freedom. It's a freedom. It's life.
Shooters and sportsmen, collectors and businessmen, sacrificed on the altar of politics. Singled out and persecuted by government forces, determined to enforce their own agenda. A Canada where only the police and military have guns.
They want every firearm seized in this country. That's the long-term agenda.
Once a populace doesn't have the ability to defend itself, it's no longer a governed nation, it's a ruled nation.
The debate is settled. The debate is over. Gun control will be implemented on December 1st.
Gun control in the form of Bill C-68, demanding all gun owners register their shotguns and rifles.
Right now, if you don't have a firearms license to possess the firearms you already own, by January 1st, 2001, you'll be an instant criminal. If you don't have your long guns registered by 2003, you'll be an instant criminal.
Plus, 58% of handguns registered since 1935 are now banned and must be turned in for destruction by December 1st. If not, the government now has their name and will come and get both them and their guns.
They've already made up the lists. They've given them out to the local police.
Suddenly, we're put in the position of being a criminal because we own a shotgun. Never been charged with anything in my life.
Why treat me, someone who hasn't done anything wrong, as though I am a criminal? And that's how I feel.
Gun owners finally realizing a threat they refused to imagine, now rallying to repeal, to stop the creeping but steady erosion of their freedom.
We were suckers. We sat here and trusted them.
And when they took away the Benellis, and that nobody in the handgun community ever believed that they would come after short-barrel handguns. And then when they took away the short-barreled handguns, no one in the hunting community believed they would come after semi-auto rifles.
But it's a freedom Canadian gun owners are not willing to forfeit. Instead, thousands are simply refusing to comply.
They'll hide the guns. They'll bury them into wherever. They'll hide them in barns. They'll hire them in grain sheds. But they won't turn in their guns.
My shotgun fell out of the canoe when I was ducking last year. I don't know where it is now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Citizens defying the law because they no longer trust the government that passed it or the police now ordered to enforce it.
As a police officer, my primary focus is to be in harmony with the public. And this law puts me at disharmony with the general public.
Constable Murray Grismer, a 13-year police veteran, calls C-68 a financial, unenforceable fraud, knowing the $200 million spent so far will take beat cops off the street, but it will never take guns away from criminals.
I don't believe for 1 minute that our criminals will go and register their guns, and the guns will still be out on the street.
The cops aren't going to know where the bad guys keep their guns.
A harsh reality anti-gun politicians choose to ignore. But an ex-con and government informant whose voice we had to disguise told us C-68 won't stop criminals who work the streets.
It's an opportunity crime, and they're going to continue doing it. And the carjackings are going to increase here. They already have. Home invasion, personal violent crime, ATMs. You ask any street cop out there, he'll tell you the same thing. You're taking the guns away from the honest people, and you're making it easier for the criminals to do the job.
I could get you a gun right now in 20 minutes if you give me 50 bucks. I'd go buy a shotgun with a phone call.
How are you going to stop somebody that's got it in his mind that he's going to commit a crime? What are you going to do, legislate them into morality? They're laughing.
Criminals who won't turn in their guns and law-abiding citizens committed not to, because free people don't register their guns. But the risk could be high. Harassment and intimidation, tactics the government will use at any cost to force gun owners to comply.
Let's just say that I believe strongly that we were to be used as an example to promote the new bill.
A police invasion that could have turned deadly. SWAT teams, armed with machine guns, raided John St. Amour's firearms business. And he has photos that can only begin to tell the story.
You've got a helicopter buzzing the property. You've got police officers, customs people, upstairs, downstairs, trashing my house, all over the property. We said, tell us what you want. We'll give it to you. You don't have to tear the place apart. No, that's not the way we proceed. That's not the way we do things. They had a point to prove. They wanted to show who was boss.
7 hours of hell. And even though the government dropped the charges, John is still haunted by the horrifying images.
This will escalate. If they've done it successfully at one place, then they'll do 2. If they can get 2, they'll do 4.
Ordinary, honest citizens who have come to fear the government and a law that no longer trusts them. Border crossings that have become a checkpoint for harassment. A return trip from a gun show in the U.S. can turn into hours of search and interrogation by Canada customs agents.
They told us they were down there taking pictures of the license plates of the cars and monitoring us, law-abiding citizens doing nothing wrong while we're in the States. And if they're doing this, what else are they doing?
A universal registration scheme that is cohesive. And Canadian gun owners believe they stand as living proof that registration is not the end, it's just the beginning of the end.
The federal government of Canada has proven. They've proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that confiscation is the agenda.
Little by little, they're going to take all of our rights away from us, confiscate all of our guns, and we're going to be left with nothing.
Canadian gun owners who know the stage has been set. Their rights hang in the balance. A warning to Americans that the border separating them from us is just an imaginary line.
Believe what's going to happen. It's coming. We've got the test waters here in Canada to prove it, and you're next on the list.
If you give it an inch, you're going to lose the whole damn yard.
Beware, because if it's happening here, it could happen down there. And it's pretty scary.